Think about moving to Boston, but maybe looking for a neighborhood or a section that is more on the suburban side of urban living. Well, Brighton might be the area or the neighborhood that you've been searching for. It's easy to get around, has a bit of an old school feel, but also has one of the newest developments in all of Boston. So today we're going to do a full Google Maps tour of Brighton. We're going to explore the different landmarks, the hangout spots. Of course, we'll go through the 2025 housing market as well. So stick around because by the end, you'll know exactly what life in Brighton really feels like and whether it's the right fit for you. Now, if you've already watched our Alston map tour, you know that sometimes Alston and Brighton are grouped together. But in truth, Brighton has a completely different feel compared to Alston. Brighton maybe a little quieter, a little calmer, a little more space available for you as well, but you still get that connectivity to downtown Boston if you'd like. So enough of me, let's dive into this map tour and get started showing you what Brighton is all about. All right, let's start off this tour as we always do. Where is Brighton in relation to the rest of Massachusetts and Boston here? Again, Boston, in case you aren't aware, does a little bit of a T-bone here. So this is all like Brookline over here, Cambridge all across the Charles River, but Boston does this little kind of T-bone down past Dorchester and through Mattapan and up through East Boston over here, and then kind of cuts down the river and then over to Brighton. So we're very much kind of on the western side of the Boston proper. So if there was this, and you see the red outline here, if you did a red outline of Boston, it would again kind of go like this. So a little bit of a T there. But again, we are pretty much right on the edge of Boston before we start to get into the suburbs of Watertown, Newton, and Waltham, and all those places. And again, we talked a little bit of how Alston and Brighton are often paired together where they're in neighboring neighborhoods right here. And so here we are in Brighton. Again, you have Cambridge and Watertown here to the north. You're right on the Charles River. You have Boston College creeping into the Brighton section of Boston as well. Also extends into Chestnut Hill and Newton, but we'll get into that conversation a little bit. Apparently, I took a look at Ziggy's. Check that out. Not before we hop on this tour. So that's just going to be, I think, ever present while we go through. So anyway, let's get into this a little bit because I'd say Brighton is a little less a neighborhood of things. Like we go through so many different neighborhoods, like Alston before this, or South End and North End, and there are all these little things. It's very much, I think, more of a residential neighborhood, a little more spread out compared to, let's say, Alston, which is a little more compact. And so, again, more of a residential and I think suburban feel at times. But let's get down to what is the center of Brighton and Brighton Center. So if you come down here to Washington Street and Market Street, this is Brighton Center. And right away, hey, listen, you're gonna have some ice cream delivery. That's great to see. But so yeah, this is this intersection of Market Street, Washington Street. This is also sometimes known as historic Brighton. And as we come down here a little bit, I just want to go down Washington Street to show you, again, some of good spots that I appreciate to grab a bite as I overshoot them, but just right in a row, you have Potterbelly's Pub over here. Good spot right next to it. Devlin's. Also, it is cozy, as I say down here. Good menu, good beverages, and they do have series events, DJs, live bands, and trivia. So, but finished off with one of my favorites, little Brighton Bodega here, small plates, kind of Asian inspired, if you will. And as the description says, great neighborhood bar scene. You head down this way a little bit, you're going to get to St. Elizabeth's Hospital as well, Cafe Nero. I'm sure you're familiar with those. Hey, beef and turkey convenience. So that's a hospital down that way. But if we come back down Washington Street, we'll start to show you some of the housing as we really get down into it a little bit. So again, this is one of the major thoroughfares through Brighton. And you're going to see, as we come down Washington Street, a lot of multifamily condo building opportunities. You see some new development here. I know we talked about the new development and we talked about the new development. Boston Landing, we'll get into this, but like so many different neighborhoods in Boston, it is ripe for development. And you're seeing a lot of that. So again, so many of the opportunities here or what housing you're going to see will be these multifamilies, right? And as we start to get into some of the back streets here, or side streets, I should say, as we took a little unintended turn off of Washington Street, and now we're going the wrong way. But if we go back down Washington Street towards Oak Square, that's the section I want to show you next. But as you start to get off these side streets, or off the main street and toward the side streets, you're going to see some more single family opportunities, I would say. Again, very much the multifamily opportunities, but as we head towards Oak Square, again, just want to show you real quick. Cool little coffee shop here, Glasser Coffee. Definitely make sure you stop in there. And as we get further towards Oak Square, last drop, good little bar, pub, whatever you want to call it. Definitely have spent a couple hours there post softball games back in the day. And right over here, it's a little obscured by the trees, but you have your local YMCA. And this is a great YMCA. I think this is one of the best in all of Boston. So, and of course, even though it was on the map, it was on the map. Right when we started off, I blew right past it. Ziggy's. Again, pizza, subs, sandwich, burgers. Definitely stop by there. It's a great spot for any of those things. So if Brighton Center was kind of one square of Brighton, Oak Square is probably the other one. And like we said, you have your YMCA, turn around, see it. You have your library over here, which just went under some renovation. You have your firehouse. And then, of course, this truck is going to get in the way of some eateries here. But yeah, just showing that you have all sorts of options, not only in Brighton, but Oak Square in particular. And so as we go up Washington Street, again, it starts to spread out a little bit. And you really start to feel kind of the suburbs, the suburban aspect of Brighton. Again, you get a little more yard space. You still see the multifamilies, but you start to get into some single families as well. Just to give you a sense. And if we cut down Tip Top Street, yep. Again, I think this street is a little indicative or microcosmic of the housing that you're going to see in Brighton, at least in this section of Brighton. And again, you start to see some, it looks like some recent renovation there. And then we come back down Tremont Street and we work back towards Oak Square a little bit. So again, a little feel of this section of Brighton. So let's go back out. Again, give me the lay of land. This is where we were, right? This is Brighton. And then Oak Square is where we ended up. This is technically Oak Square neighborhood, but that is Oak Square right there. This is Brighton Center over here. So this is kind of where we were meandering. I want to take you down towards the southern portion of Brighton, get down towards Com Ave. So if we come down here, so right here on Com Ave, we're getting towards close to Boston College, okay? And so again, you're going to see these tall apartment condominium buildings on both sides. You're going to see some of these old school buildings as well that are also apartments, condos. So less the multifamilies, the double deckers, the triple deckers, the two families or three families, and more, sizable buildings. So this is what you're really going to see as you head down Com Ave towards BC. Now, if we cut down one of these side streets as well, for example, let's go down Foster Street. Oh, sorry, this is Grey Cliff. So as we come down Grey Cliff, now we hit Foster Street. And again, just give you a little more sense as we go down Kirkwood. Like it can be pretty compact in here depending on where you are. But you also have some great old school architecture here. I do like the brick always. Now we're basically just working our way back towards Com Ave and towards Boston College. But again, let's go back out. And I don't think I've really gotten a chance to show you the kind of the satellite view here. So Newton Commonwealth Golf Course over there, that's definitely on the Newton side of things. And if we scroll back out, again, this is all Brighton. You start to get the Alston over here. And so Herder Park, which we also talked about in the Alston video, it's kind of split between Brighton and Alston over here. But a lot of the green space, I would say, in Brighton is kind of athletic fields. And they do, Herder Park completely accessible here as well. And you do have all these trails along the Charles River for biking, walking, jogging, what have you. So again, you do have that green space, but again, maybe a little less in terms of like dedicated parks like you see in some other sections in other neighborhoods of Boston. But you do have the reservoir down here. So I want to show you this real quick. So this is the Chestnut Hill Reservoir right next to BC. And again, BC campus kind of gets split in two between Brighton and Chestnut Hill Newton. But this is a nice little mile and a half trail around Chestnut Hill Reservoir. So you want to bang out a 5K, just go around that twice. You have, again, this is all technically Brighton. So this is lower campus of Boston College. You have Alumni Stadium here. I don't want to talk about the team's football season so far. That's gone great. But, know that, as you're in Alston or you're in the Fenway section of Kenmore section of Boston, and you might be close to BU, Boston University. If you're in Brighton, depending on where you are, you might very much be close to Boston University. So if you kind of want that, sorry, Boston College. So if you want to have that college town feel at times, you can definitely find that. If you want to be a little bit further away, definitely you can have that as well. So if we get away from, and again, you've seen what the housing can be like along Com Ave, or as we duck away from Com Ave, and also as we cut off of Washington Street and went down Tremont and kind of cut into the kind of the side streets. So again, I would say that Brighton, as much as any other neighborhood in Boston, definitely has that residential and kind of suburban feel compared to others. But I also want to talk to you about, like we said, one of the newest developments in all of Boston. That's Boston Landing. And this is just another area. And we talk about Seaport and how that wasn't a thing maybe a decade ago. Well, Boston Landing is definitely something that has really been developed over the last couple of years. So we'll give you a 3D view. And again, Mass Pike cutting right through Brighton like it does Alston as well. Doesn't kind of go down the middle like it does in Alston, but you have New Balance headquarters right here. You have, where to go? So you have New Balance right here. You have, which is also home to Warrior Arena or Warrior Ice Arena, where the Bruins practice. You have the Auerbach Center, Warrior Ice Arena. This is where the Bruins practice. And then you come over and this is Auerbach Center where the Celtics practice. So this, all these buildings, not here, not too long ago. You have Bose headquarters there. And then you just see, you have all these different buildings, commercial and housing and otherwise, that have become a part of this Boston Landing development. So if we actually drop down the street level, Again, you have some shopping there. Well, you have the track at New Balance. And again, you're also going to see construction a lot down here. So let's go back the other way. So as we come past Arrowback Center here on your left side, flatbread Brighton, you can get great flatbreads. You can also do candlepin bowling while you're having your flatbreads. This is a cool little spot. And the pizzas are pretty good. Pizzas, flatbreads, whatever you call it. I've mentioned this music venue a whole bunch in the past in other videos. Now we finally have the opportunity to show you Roadrunner. This is one of the newest music venues in all of Boston. Definitely a kind of, I'd say, like small, medium-sized venue. And again, great shows. I mean, apparently there's a great show upcoming because all these people are waiting outside to get tickets. You also have Broken Records Theater Hall. Fantastic. And as we come down this way, also need to show you the bagel table, Rail Stop Restaurant, so bagel table, and Rail Stop. Two great areas down there as well. There's New Balance, and Warrior Ice Arena is over here. And then you have the New Balance store itself, Coe Coffee Company. Been there for a couple times for coffee, good coffee there. And then this New Balance store, they're not sponsoring anything, but you can get great shoes at discount prices there at that store. Mainly burgers. So again, one of the newest developments, and just all these restaurants, music venues, housing have all popped up here. And you got your grocery stores and things you need down this way. And again, whether it's apartment or finding a condo down here, I mean, if you kind of want to be in the new modern section of the Brighton neighborhood, this is probably the place to be. Oh, sorry. Rail Stop's over there. All right, cool. So let's scroll out for a second so we can start talking about the housing market. All right, let's start our housing market discussion with the single family market in Brighton. Again, you're just going to see more apartment rental opportunities and condominium opportunities just because the single families are going to few and far between. So many single families in Boston, in Brighton, have been converted into 2 or 3 condominiums or apartments. And so already the Brighton compared to Austin, and I'm sorry to do this, we're just going to compare Brighton and Austin a whole bunch. Just because they're right next to each other and are often grouped together when talking about things, even though they definitely have different feels. But last video, I'm not sure if you remember, 8 single family opportunities, or at least things that have been on the market or had sold over 6 months. Right here, 3 times as many. Now, in terms of active, if we go active listings and not just sold, 4 on the market right now. But if we look at either under contract or sold, and then we start to look at what some of the price points. So we had single families can be had, and we talked about, we will talk about opportunity. Is there a little more opportunity in Brighton in terms of number of single families? Surely. In terms of price points, yes, as well. So you can see starting down here in the 6s into the 7s, 8s, 9s. And you definitely start to see them get into the $1 million range as well, and even multi-million-dollar range. And so that's going to push the average list price into the millions. Average sale price, though, below that. But they're all going pretty quickly. 15 days to offer. I mean, that's just over 2 weeks. Time on the market, that is 3 weeks. That's going really quick. So this is a fast moving market, one of the fastest in Massachusetts. Well, definitely one of the fastest in Boston right now, maybe even Massachusetts. Now we take a look at we'll bump back to the rental opportunities before we get to the condominiums. And you're going to see like 606 opportunities here. So it is a big rental market, perhaps not surprising given its proximity to Boston College, and even to BU to an extent. So, let's not even look at the last 6 months. Let's just look at the last three and see what rents it's going for. And, just make sure we don't get any parking spots in here. So yeah, you can get a 1 bedroom apartment still in the teens here. It definitely going to start to sneak up to into the 2000s, sure. Some of your nicer 1 bedrooms. And let's see, and good to see you can find 2 bedrooms in Brighton, also in the $2,000 range. There's so many neighborhoods where kind of your 1 bedroom starts, that price starts with a two, and the 2 bedrooms start with a three. But there is affordability when it comes to the rental options in Brighton. And again, a lot of rental opportunities. So, I mean, we could take a look at the average price. Average price is 3,000 a month, but you definitely have some luxury or high end 3, 4 bedrooms and some 2 bedrooms with a lot of square footage that are going to push those prices up. But, as we look at what 300 plus rentals, either on the market or recently rented, good to see that a lot of them, and I might even go as far as say the majority of them, are $3,000 or below. So that's your rental market right now. So let's take a look at the condominiums. And, as you can see, just in terms of under contract on the market right now or sold, 27 single families, 151 condominiums. And this is over the last 3 months. If we go 6 months, like we did with the single families, and what that's going to be, 226. So again, condominium driven market, I would say, or the majority of opportunity in the condominiums, and affordability as well. So able to find a condo below $400,000, great to see. Maybe not that many out of the 226, but again, anytime you're seeing below four, you're seeing below five. Good to see that that's an affordability in a Boston zip code or Boston area or neighborhood that you're not necessarily always going to see in some other areas of Boston or other neighborhoods of Boston. And so let's just go all the way down. And so the average list price, yeah, a little bit over 700,000. And by the way, you can definitely find nice condominiums for $1 million plus in Brighton as well. Sale price under that. So again, as the market's softening, it's definitely, I think, less competitive. There's more inventory than there was this time last year. Buyers are being a little choosier, and so you're seeing more opportunity. Again, I keep on using that word opportunity, but you're seeing more listings compared to last year. You're seeing buyers, I think, being a little more choosy with their options. And so in terms of the condominium market compared to the single family market, obviously things lasting on the market a little bit longer. Days to offer, almost a month. Days on market, almost 2 months. So you're kind of getting to what is considered a kind of a normal quote unquote market. Whenever you start to see 3 months of inventory or things lasting for 3 months on average on the market, that gets more towards kind of the traditional real estate market. So again, you're seeing things last a little bit longer, a month days to offer. That's again that tells me that there is opportunity for buyers in this market, and sellers, I think perhaps in this particular market haven't adjusted accordingly, still trying to price. I think a price maybe for some former markets, but we'd have to do a little more diving and analysis. But again, good to see that average sale price a little bit below $700,000 overall, and that's 688 or 689. We'll round up. So that's maybe not so quick overview, depending on what you're looking for. In terms of the housing market. If you want more details, just reach out to me and we can definitely do some more analysis and do some more digging when it comes to the housing market. So that wraps up the housing market, and back to the map we go as we scroll out one last time to take a look at all those houses we talked about here in Brighton, and one last aerial view and satellite view here of Brighton as we wrap up this tour. So that was our full Google Maps tour of the Brighton neighborhood, the Brighton section of Boston. What did you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Make sure you drop them down in the comments below. And what I love about Brighton is just it has so many different things blended together going for it, whether it's kind of that suburban side of urban living, whether it's blending old and new like so many Boston neighborhoods do. Again, you have kind of that old school feel at times. We have one of the newest and most up and coming developments and sections in all of Boston in Boston Landing. You also have a housing market where there is opportunity as well. So again, a lot going for Brighton. If you like this tour, make sure you like, subscribe, and make sure you drop down in the comments below about other neighborhoods, sections of Boston, or nearby towns or cities that you'd like to see us do a tour for or about. And of course, if you're thinking about Brighton might be the right fit for you, or maybe curious about a different section of Boston or outside of Boston, I'd love to help. Make sure you DM me on Instagram at Mike O'Brien Homes, or you can email me directly at mikeobrienhomes@gmail.com. And finally, make sure to watch the next video popping up here. Our full Austin map tour is available, so you can definitely compare what it's like to perhaps live in these two connected and neighboring neighborhoods. But appreciate you watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one.